Hi, welcome to AVG. Alom is here. Today we are going to discuss average, minimum, maximum, sum, count, group by, having, order by, null if, case statement, is null, COALESCE. Alright, so maximum, max return the maximum value of the column. Max aggregate function returns the highest value, maximum value. What do we understand? In a non-null values, minimum is the opposite. It returns the smallest value of the column, and it also works in the several different data types. Minimum aggregate function returns the lowest value, like a minimum value in a set of non-null values. Average return the average of arithmetic mean of the values. It adds all non-null values in a column and then divide by the number of the values added to get the mean. So let's go to the SQL Server Management Studio. So here you can see here we're using AdventureWorks 2019 database. Thank you AdventureWorks sample database. Thank you Microsoft. So in this case you can see I'm just going to select the maximum list price in the production.product table. If I just run the selected query, you can see the maximum list price is 3,578.27, and the minimum, as you know, this is the lowest price. So I'm just filtering out the $0 price, so which doesn't make sense. I'm just ignoring. So if I run this part of the query, you can see minimum list price is 2.29. Awesome. Average function. So average function actually is going to give the average list price. We have maximum list price, minimum list price, and we want to know what is the average list price. If we run this part, let's see. Yeah, average list price is 438.662. Alright, let's move on. Going back to the slide. The next one, sum. Sum of the values a field or column in a SQL table is summing up. Count function return the number of items in a group, so null values are not counted. And the group by statement group rows that have the same values into a summary rows. So we can use as a summary for the summary of the count using the group by. Group by clause is used in the select statement to collect data rows, multiple records in a group results. So let's move on to the demo. So count, as you know, is count the records, see how many employees we have in the employee table, 290, and group by. We want to group by sales order ID and total price, each order how many, the total price. If we run it, you can see here each order and the total price. Right, so far so good. And the next slide, having clause. Having clause is often used with the group by clause to filter the groups based on a specific condition. We understand the group by actually it is grouping the records based on certain criteria. We just get the sales order ID in the Management Studio query. We ran it, so we can filter out those records actually. So order by clause is used to sort the data. So let's say you want to sort the data ascending or descending. So by default in SQL Server it is ascending to sort the descending order, so which will start from the higher number. So we have to use the DSC keyword. So let's go back to the demo. So I'm just going to run one more time this one to give you some idea. So here we don't use the having clause. It has everything. You can see 31,465 rows. If we use the having clause, we are saying, okay, give me all the records. Sales order ID count is having more than 3. So if you can see, I want to get more than 3 records actually. So if I just run this part, see how many records is coming, 31,000. So lots of records is a number of records is 2, 1. So I want to eliminate those using the having clause. Count gave me everything more than 3, so having filter. So if we run it, So we don't see any more 2, 1, so everything is more than 3, which does make sense. Go back to this slide. I hope you were enjoying. Okay, slide where you are. Case statement. Case statement goes through the condition and returns a value when the first condition is met. Once a condition is true, it will stop reading the return result. If no condition are true, it returns the value else clause. As you can see here, case when condition 1 give me result is 1, condition 2 then result is 2, condition 3 result is like 3, blah blah blah. And if there is no condition met, you say okay, if not met, then else the results end. So let's go back to the SQL Server Management Studio. What do you have? So in the case statement, actually we are telling if the salary is more than 80,000 or equal, then the person is a director. If salary is greater than or equal 50,000 and less than 80,000, senior consultant, otherwise else or else like employee. So I'm using HR employee table. So if you can see here, select, all right, from salary, yes. So this is using the HR database. If we run this part, we can see here all this designation is being translated based on the salary. I hope it makes sense. So you can use the different condition based on your requirement or whatever, the way you are looking for based on in your scenario. So if you want to do different way, you can do, definitely you can translate it. Okay, so let's say you want to translate like employee type. Okay, employee type 1, then full-time employee, employee type 2 is a consultant, employee type 3 is a temporary. You can also, so case statement is very helpful. So going back to the next slide. So is null function replace null with a specified values. The following like a syntax you can see here is null, expression and replacement. So it replaces the null value. So null is a special marker used in the structure query language to indicate that data value doesn't exist. So that is the null. So we need to understand actually. So that means there is no value exists. That's what is this null. So SQL Server like is null to replace the value in existing column values. So we want to replace the null value something else, we can use is null function. So let's go back to the Management Studio. So is null, if you can see here, I'm replacing null to 100. Let's run it. What happens? So it's replaced by 100. So you can see here, if the first argument is null, it returns the value from the second argument. Let's say here is null, it's going to return this one. If the first argument is not null, it returns the first argument as the output. If we run this part, you can see here, this one return and this value return. Awesome. Let's move on. So is null also replace the value in the existing column values, as we know. So if we run a query, I just want to show you something. Salary table. This is actually table I have created for the demo purpose. If you can see here, this is the employee Ricky. There is no salary, no cell phone. Let's see what we have. So we are going to replace Ricky salary to 30,000 as there is no salary. So let's see, it's a null value. If you can see here, 3 is 30,000. Go back, yeah, this is ID 3, Ricky replaces 30,000. I hope it makes sense, is null. So let's move on. COALESCE. SQL COALESCE and the is null function are used to handle the null values actually. During the expression evaluation process, the null values are replaced with the user-defined value. The SQL COALESCE function evaluates the argument in order and always returns first non-null values from the defined argument list. Using SQL COALESCE expression with the character string data example. So, okay, next slide. Okay, and null if returns the first expression if the two expressions are not equal. If the expressions are equal, null if returns the null. If not equal, it returns the value. So returns the null value. If it is like the same, let's say 12, it's gonna return null. If not equal, then it's gonna return the first value. Returns the first value. Okay. So far so good. So let's move on. If you can see here, COALESCE we just discussed. If we run it, you can see it's replaced with the welcome, and there is a 2 null, and it replaced with the null value. Also, if you can see here, COALESCE expression substitute null by string null applicable as shown in the following, like the query. So in this case, I was just showing you there is no phone number. So as I was pulling the phone number, so if there is no phone number, we just replace it as a not applicable and a string. So okay, give me the COALESCE, like the data. If there is a null, it's gonna replace it. If not null, data will be shown. If you can see here, run it, see these two employee doesn't have a phone number, and we translate it using the COALESCE as NA. Alright, I think it makes sense. And null if function return null because the values are the same. If we run it, null, and we are expecting here 12. Yes, 12, which makes sense. And in this case, actually, we can also compare these two columns as well. So you see make flag, finished good flags. If we run it, this part, if you can see here, these are this like output. I hope makes sense. Thank you for watching this video. If you like the video, for getting more information next video update, please subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a great day.